live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to another episode of Lotus Tea Talk, where we shed our unique light on current events, blooming conversations, and elevating girl talk.
Yes.
I am one of your hosts, Amika.
And I am your host, Chinya Ani.
We are missing our dear sister, Aziza Afi.
So shout out to her.
She's looking a little Mexican sun right now.
Yes.
But yes. Let's sip this tea.
Period.
Ooh. Yes, hydration. It's good for the
Not
nation.
me spilling it a little bit. Okay.
It's okay.
We're good to go.
It's the libation that seems
Yes,
to happen.
it's every time we spill.
maybe we need to
Maybe we need to
work that into the intro.
just a little spill,
for the
sip for the ancestors. Okay.
I'll show you to that.
I love that.
Yeah, so before we get into it, we got to check in. We got to check in with our blossom, water, and weed people. And for those of you that don't know, that is our weekly check-in where we ask our dear sister friends, our cousin best friends, or whatever, how we doing? Basically checking in on the areas of life where you feel like you're blossoming, you're growing, you're thriving, the areas in which you feel like need some more love, some watering, you know, a little bit more attention, and then the areas that you just need to get rid of, whether those are people or areas in life in general.
Exactly. No, seriously.
Yeah. You want to go first? Boo?
Okay, I'll go first. Blossoming, it is, life is beautiful. I think what has been blossoming for me the most is just appreciation. Like, I really feel like I've been being mindful of my appreciation for all things in my life, no matter what. Like, even when something isn't going exactly as expected, just really retraining my mind. Even you told me one thing last week that has stuck with me. Instead of saying I was having anxiety, say that I'm excited. And that really, I really loved that so much. It's stuck with me since then. So just that same mind frame of even when things are quote unquote not going as planned, being able to see the bigger scope and that things are going just as planned. And it may not be your plan, but it's God's plan.
Yes.
And so that's so amazing. So I've been blossoming in that.
Mental health.
Yes, great mental health. Let's see, watering. Just continuing to water my entrepreneurship spirit. Yes. I've been taking this course and it's just been teaching me so much about monetization of my social media and just, again, being intentional about everything. So sometimes because you don't know what you might be doing that you can actually be monetizing in your life, because it's just you, that's just who you are. But we're so talented and we're so gifted. So I just want to make sure that, I'm monetizing in all those aspects, honey. So I'm loving that. So I've been watering that and weeding. Let's see, what can I say that I've been trying to weed? I think I'm still pretty much the same thing like I said last week of just, or even I'll say more so, because I remember last week I said that I wanted to wake up earlier. That was my thing. So, and then we were like, well, as long as you're being productive when you're awake, that's the main thing. So for me, I want to weed out just idle time. So that's what I've been trying to weed out, like making sure that even if we're resting, we're intentionally resting. Like every moment is again back to that intention of, so I just want to weed out being idle, not being productive, even, because being in rest is productive, working is productive. So just making sure that every moment is being productive. So I'm weeding out idle time because we ain't got time for that.
We don't.
Thank you. What about you, sis? How have you been doing?
Ooh, this week has definitely been full. My anniversary with my boo daddy was this week.
Ooh.
So definitely feel like we are blossoming in our relationship.
I love that.
My personal life, I feel like it is definitely blossoming in the relationship aspect, my love life.
Yes.
We had a nice, cute little day together. Not little, but a cute day together. Very much so appreciated. And we have a trip coming up this summer.
Yay.
So, we are...
Where are you guys going this summer?
We're going to Tulum.
Okay, the Tulum trip.
Yes,
Okay, period.
Yes, we are definitely going to Tulum.
Right. All her loved ones coming.
Everybody wants to go to Mexico, okay? We're going to Mexico. So, yes, we got trips coming up. And inside of that, our communication, we're working on that, making sure that we are definitely making each other feel like we are heard and making sure that we are expressing ourselves, because that is... an area important in my life in which I am watering is making sure that I am speaking up and asking for what I want when I want it. Because a lot of times I'll have it as an afterthought, and I'll say something sometimes when it's too late. And that is something I'm definitely working on. So giving more attention to the speaking up and following that gut instinct.
Okay.
Yeah, because I know growing up, I saw a lot of people following their gut instincts, and it came out real violent and volatile. And
so you very much reserved.
In my own personal correcting, I was like, how about I try not to say anything, which is not the
solution
idea either. Right. It's not the solution at all, because closed mouths don't get fed on this here boulevard, boo. And so the goal is to say what I need to say in a healthy and clear way that is able to be received by whomever the party is that needs to receive it. And so that's the area in which I am watering, is making sure that I'm speaking up for myself and what is necessary for my soul to be on fire and to
that
thrive.
Resonates with me too. Yeah, I had to tell somebody I wasn't going to bail them out. That was tough.
That's real though.
Yeah, but
that's
it was real.
Saying the sacred
I was
no.
just like the sacred no, you know.
Yep.
You have to
say that sacred no.
Yes.
Because sometimes your silence can be taken as a yes instead of you speaking up and saying no.
Right.
And vice versa. You being silent can be taken as a no too. So just communicate.
Communication.
That's what it is open that mouth. And then areas in which I feel I need to weed out of my life. Oh man, I definitely can be hard on myself for sure.
Yeah.
A little judgy. I definitely get it, honestly. Not saying that most people don't judge themselves anyway, but that's something I can do without, because I am whole, perfect, and complete in my own creation and how I was created. And so,
cheers to that.
You know, just really accepting myself in each and every state of being and understanding that that is where I am. And if I choose to move out of that, then that is great.
Yes.
If not, then that's okay too.
Yes.
And not being so daggum judgy and just so harsh, more so, because judgments don't always have to be harsh.
Right.
They can be honest, but they don't always have to be harsh. And I realize a lot of the time, sometimes I'm very extreme with a little bit dramatic, you all.
Yeah.
If you didn't notice. But yeah, you know, so just calming that down, remembering to have the positive self-talk as the louder voice in my head, because the other shit is not necessarily going to go away ever. However, it's what I decide to focus on and give attention to.
Exactly.
So getting that negative self-talk and just the harshness of how I judge myself out of the door, you know, cutting that shit out. So yes.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, that's where I am. Thank you. How about you, Aziza? No, I'm kidding.
Shout out to Aziza. We love her.
We do love her, and we will miss our third leg of this here tripod.
Yes.
But it's all good. We're going to push forward because we have a mission here, and it is you all. You all are our purpose as of right now. And so we're going to get into these topics, boo, because per usual, they're pretty great.
Yes, they are. So I guess I'll introduce the topic for today. Friends. How many of us have them? So today we're going to be talking about friendship. So, you know, in episode 1, we talked about us meeting and our friendship and how we got together and what we meant to each other and to ourselves and what we want to bring to this podcast. So today we just kind of want to dive more into what friendships means, auditing your friendships, and I will just open it up like that to Arato. So what do friendships mean to you? What is a friend?
That is a great question. What is a friend? So that can be starting off as a young child. I know friendships usually were created out of convenience and out of not even necessarily necessity, because some people might be introverted, but you just being around the same people every day, 5 days a week for 8 hours a day.
That's my friend.
That's my friend. We got enough in common, and
right.
Usually it's something that you have in common.
Exactly.
A similar way of communicating. Hobbies. You know, a game that y'all both like to play or something like that. It's so simple when you're children. You just, you know, identify, oh, you're that one person who I'm gonna spend the rest of my days with.
Right.
And,
so sweet.
Because as a child, you just feel like it's gonna be forever. And then I feel like when you graduate, you do eventually graduate and go to college.
Right.
You do eventually create a new group of friends, and they say that those groups of friends are the ones that actually stick with you throughout life,
right?
And that you really build real bonds with, because you go through a lot of life-defining moments together.
Yes.
In that adolescence, early 20s age, where a lot of people are experiencing the freedom of
the choice.
Having the choice and not having responsibilities, or not having all of the responsibilities of adulting, because you're possibly living on campus, or you may still be living at home. However, your parents have given you more freedom.
Right.
Whatever it is, you have established your own sense of self and some sense of individuality, so that you're starting to identify with a new group of people, and those people most likely have even more in common with you than your elementary through high school friends do. And so oftentimes that's why I feel like we lose connection with our people from the past, because it's just like you have grown out of that. Yeah, you've grown out of that state. So I definitely feel like if you don't have anything that is first, like the common thread, so the hobby or the just whatever commonalities you have, that automatically brings you together. But then the trust that you all build together, the experiences that you all go through together, that helps you all realize, oh, this is my road dog, or or not so much. This person,
the test, those tests,
exactly.
The friendships,
you go through tests, exactly. You test those friendships and see, hey, how strong they really are. And I feel like those people who are consistent in who they are in your life, in a positive way, are friends.
That's true. That's true.
And it may be in different areas. You might have your friends who you just turn up with.
So what's the difference between a friend and an acquaintance?
Oh, you're right. So an acquaintance, I would not call for something that I need.
Okay.
Yeah. Unless it's like a
the
business
accountability
thing.
almost.
Right. It's like I don't hold you to the same accountability as someone I would call my friend.
Okay.
So if that acquaintance didn't answer the phone, it's like, oh, okay, cool, whatever. It's cool. I also wouldn't expect much from them either.
Right.
So it's whatever. Not saying that there's
someone you might just get along with more so, rather than someone who's accountable to you. Okay, so that makes the
connectivity is not on
the same level. Okay,
that's what I would personally say.
I agree. I would say the same thing. So no, I have the same consensus about pretty much what a friend is. What I find interesting though in my own life is that I've stayed connected more to my childhood friends than I do have some relationships with some people that I've held on to with college. Yeah. But I don't know if it's abnormal, but I know I have like a collective of people that I've and I think that's just maybe because being that Atlanta, we've built our own family almost in Atlanta.
Exactly.
I think was a very strong bond. So it wasn't just like, oh, we're elementary school friends. No, our mothers were friends. Right. Da, da, da. So I think that, there's levels to it.
Sorry.
Exactly, and that's why I've elevated my friends to family. And then I have friends, and then I would say I have acquaintances, and then I have the folks. I'm saying I'm gonna do something when I see them.
Exactly. No, that's literally what I was gonna say. Is that certain people elevate past the friend status and they fall into the family zone.
Exactly.
Family is not always blood, as y'all know. Y'all got hella cousins. Everybody's an auntie. And this my cousin, that's my cousin.
Period.
They also are my best friends at the same time, because we did establish that friendship prior to realizing, oh, you are kin to me. And kin, like I said, is not necessarily just blood.
Exactly. And family can be friends too, because like Chioma, she is one of my best friends. That's my sister. Shout out to my sister. And, we've lived together as roommates, as adults, and chosen to align our lives with each other more than we've necessarily had to, just being sisters. So I would definitely consider my little sister to be one of my best friends too. So, you can choose that. So with that being said, the next question is, well, why? Okay, so, you always hear the saying of like the 5 people most closest to you are who make who you are.
Yes.
So because this conversation is also about auditing your friendships, because you also touched on people who have positive influences in your life, right? Yep. And sometimes friends don't necessarily have positive influences in your life. And I think I'll just speak on myself really quickly before I bounce it to you, is that in college, that's where I noticed that. Like, I feel like in college is when I had a lot of friends who weren't necessarily positive impacts on my life. I had a lot of challenges in college. And so when I feel like I aligned myself with people who kind of mirror those challenges in ways, because we trauma bonding exactly, because we do find, you know, because that's an attraction as well. And so it was, I had to do a lot of shadow work out of those friendships and a lot of healing out of those friendships. And it's so crazy because they were just knocking off like flies, and I was like, I'm just losing all my friends, but nobody who really aligned with me ever went anywhere. It was so interesting in retrospect, because all the friends that I, you know, quote unquote lost, it was just through that traumatic time of my life that I even made those friendships. So I think that's very important.
It is. I think that's where the saying, friendships come in for a reason, a season or a lifetime.
Right.
And we have to, as people, have discernment to realize which relationships are worth holding on to and which ones are needing to be let go of.
Right.
You know, which ones do we water and which ones do we weed?
Exactly.
Because ultimately not all of them are blossoming, boo.
Right.
And like you said, those 5 people that are in your life the most, that you call your friends, and that you just surround yourself with constantly, are the people that are reflecting who you are the most. And so I definitely feel like, to your point about staying in contact with those people that were closer to the community and closer like family, that just speaks to it. You know,
exactly.
You were able to identify those lifetime friends.
Exactly.
And say, okay, now you are in the family category, and now let's keep on trekking
exactly.
and figure out what's going on. Because, you know, at the end of the day, no matter which way you go, what you got going on, as family, you should always be able to come back together and pick up on the same beat.
Pick up on the same frequency.
You know? Exactly. And I definitely feel like me and Aziza have been able to do that for sure, which is why we definitely fell into that family vibe.
Right, because we all went to different colleges, you know, spent months not necessarily communicating, and here we are, you know, just like that.
And then there are those friendships, too, where you can, like, I have a friend, one of my friends, Sierra, great friend of mine. We've been friends since literally middle school.
Oh, I love Sierra.
We can go.
So cute.
She really is. Hopefully she'll be on the show sometime.
Yes.
But yeah, we literally can go for months, and it's not necessarily the best thing, without speaking, though, or seeing each other. And as soon as we get back on the phone, it's like we never missed a beat. And we don't guilt trip each other. I think that's one of the bigger things, is we can hold each other accountable, but at the same time, you're not guilt tripping people about, why don't you ever pick up the phone to call me? Because, and most of the time, the person saying that also is not making the same efforts to pick up the phone and call. So it's like, phones work both ways, friend.
That's true. No, and I think that brings us right into just like the maintenance of friendships and the importance of hearing your friend, you know, because I think that being like, I would consider myself, and I would consider you too, to be like a fluid person. Like, you know, you're not pretty much like I'm a take it personal person, but just I've had to also examine like making sure I am showing up for my friends when they do need me, because sometimes you have to be there for that person a little bit more. I had one of my best friends last year. I had to show up for her a little bit more because she was going through a heartbreak and just, you know, through a little bit of challenges. So also, you know, looking outside yourself and making sure that, you know, you're there for your friends when they need you, because that's so important.
It's really the truth. And I feel like to tofu back on that.
I like that tofu back on that.
Vegan.
Jump on it.
You know, definitely feeding and watering your relationships with your girlfriends.
Yes.
You're like, I know a lot of time in society, or the majority of the time, excuse me, we as girls are taught to foster the relationships around men because ultimately our goal in life is to get a husband, right? Wrong. That is not what needs to happen, okay? Because ultimately, yes, you do want to find your life partner, whether it is a husband or a wife, whoever it is that you choose. At the end of the day, though, you still need those other types of outlets and those other relationships that feed all of the different parts of you.
Absolutely.
Because one person is not going to satisfy your full being.
Right.
period.
Right.
And you should never expect one person to do that. And so I know a lot of people are like, oh, my man's my best friend. And that's fine and dandy if that's
he
true.
should be one of your best friends.
He should be one of your best friends.
But
he's not going to understand all of the ins and outs of being a woman.
Exactly.
He should be interested in getting to know you as a woman, but you still need those sisters who are there to really just console with you and really just powwow with you and, just sharing the feminine energy that is just so fluid and so beautiful and so natural, and that we ultimately need in order to keep ourselves energized.
No, absolutely. Yeah. And a lot of people, a lot of girls, because I'm a woman that I've always had lots of female friends.
Yeah.
And so people are always like, how do you have so many female friends? And I'm just always like, I feel like once you're really your best self, your friends, your tribe will attract to you. I really believe in that. Whoever you are is who you're going to reflect. So I often tell, women that if you don't feel like you're having positive relationships with other women, the first person to look at is yourself, right?
Period.
Because it all starts with you. So,
and then your mama.
And your mama.
And that's the first woman you've had a relationship.
And that's a very that's a true fact. And so I think that that goes to say, like, if you're being a good friend, you're gonna have good friends. So don't worry about like people taking advantage of you or I might be doing too much. Like, no, romanticize your friendships. Give your friends flowers.
Yes.
Have dinners with your friends. Like all those things. Like it's okay to be giddy and all those little hug each other. Like
feminine.
It's be feminine.
Like,
yeah. So have
right.
this. It's okay to romance doesn't necessarily mean sexual, right? It's not the same thing.
Or even sensual.
Or even sensual.
Are not sexual.
Are not sexual.
So not sexual.
It's okay. You don't have to be harsh and all those different things with your friends. Like you can love on your friends.
You can be vulnerable.
Exactly.
And I think, unfortunately, in society, oftentimes women are pitted against each other. So we feel like we are the competition, and we don't allow ourselves to actually have these real lifelong relationships that are meaningful and actually built on some real authentic shit. And that we can actually hold each other accountable, that we can actually build together and thrive together and be millionaires together, trillionaires, whatever.
Exactly.
Together, because ultimately this is an important relationship that we are choosing to foster.
Exactly. Like us right now. We're, starting businesses together. Like, that's what you would want to hope for. And I wanted to touch on one thing because I know that sometimes, it might be like, dang, but there's nobody around me for that, right? And I'll never forget, I love this YouTube channel called Baby J. And she said one time, she was like, books can be your friends, right? If you don't have people like in those moments that you feel like you want to be your tribe of those 5 people, you can look to like YouTube is a great outlet and all those things. And it's so funny because I started following her on YouTube, and then I started meeting more girls that kind of like felt like her. You know what I'm saying? So it's like interesting. So once whatever you put your attention to and your energy to is what you're going to manifest and what you're going to have around you. So I know sometimes even if you aren't in that perfect environment in life, try to seek outlets like, books and YouTube, because sometimes that's the type of message and that's the type of environment you want to get into your life. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so like the 5 people that I would say,
yes, who are your 5?
Who are my top 5? Definitely my mans. Shout out to you, Boo Daddy.
Why was I going to give him a shout out earlier and say the same thing? Shout out to you, Boo Daddy.
Because we're funny. Definitely my man. Definitely you and Aziza. And then I'd say, my dogs. Hey, no, I'm kidding.
No, but really,
seriously though. I mean, they're not people, but I kept my social circle very small. I realized, not necessarily on purpose.
That's interesting. It's very Leo of you, because lions don't really run in big packs. They're kind of like,
no.
Yeah. I guess they kind of do. It's
female
not
lions.
It'd
be like
that's a bunch of them,
5
right?
or 6
That's true.
of us, and then
Excuse
one
me.
big ass man.
That's true.
So that's very me of me, I guess. I don't know. I know
you
that
gotta choose 2 more people. Who's your other 2?
I can't talk about my dogs.
No, your mom? Is mommy not
So
one?
my mom is definitely one of my best friends. She has always established that as being her. She established that she was my best friend when I was a little girl. She's like, "You're gonna be my best friend," and I was like, "Okay, cool, that's fine."
No, seriously though.
And so, yes, my mom is definitely one of my best friends.
Okay, we'll leave it at that. That's fair.
Yeah, I don't know who my fourth person is, honestly. Shoot, maybe Into.
Okay. Aziz's sister.
So my other cousin. Sister, right. As you see, I keep very like-minded people around me.
And that's good.
Sierra is my actual other best friend, but like I said, we don't really talk that often, so when I do need her in my space or whatever, we do connect, and it's wonderful. But I'd say that you all are the ones that I am more consistently in contact with, for sure.
Right. And especially in this season, because, I mean, I know in the season where I was living in California, like, it was a little, you know, we always were connected, but we weren't talking every day. So, you know, I'm really appreciative of this time right now. I feel like this is a very nurturing time, a very, like, growing expansion time for us. So
I agree.
I love it. I love this.
I agree, and I do say that I am definitely a culprit of the out of sight, out of mind.
And you wanted to work on that, and exactly. I give you your credit, and you have been working on that, and yes, and reaching out more. Amika called me one day. She was like, "I'm gonna reach out more. I'm gonna call." I was like, "Thanks," and she really has.
Because I need to water these relationships, and I was definitely getting tied up in my just personal relationship, my romantic relationship, and because he is a homebody, he is an introvert. I'm like, okay, well, let's be at home. Let's do stuff that we want to do together, and I don't mind.
And you can be a homebody, right?
But I can also be a social butterfly if I feel like it. Really, just depends on what I feel like. Most of the time, I do prefer going home.
Yes, Roberta is sleep. Don't play with her.
I'm sleep. I'm more for a chill vibe. Put me on a beach somewhere. If we're gonna go dancing, it needs to actually be dancing. Like, I'm not there for the section and the
new age club experience.
That foolishness. Right. I'm not there for that. Honestly, you can catch me on my couch 9 times out of 10 because of that
section
very reason.
Home.
Yeah, like come on now, section house for sure. DJ bed on the ones and twos. But anyway, so yeah, I definitely say that my inner circle, my top 5, are wonderful people, and I have definitely created my own circle as well, my own virtual circle, if you will, of like not necessarily friends, but just mentors, if you will, people that I look up to, because I do feel like mentors can be friends,
and they should. They say chef higher, younger, all
and your friends
scales.
should be some sort of a mentor. I feel like you shouldn't have people around you that are not striving to go beyond where they currently are and where you currently are.
Yes, exactly. Friends that inspire you. I always talk about how you want to inspire me. Yes.
Right. I'm not really around stagnant people, which is great. I like to have progressive conversations about self-worth and things of that nature. And so people that don't really lend to that, I realize I don't speak to them as much.
She is so funny.
It's not personal, though.
It's not personal.
It's really not personal, and I'm working on getting out of that because there are family members that may not necessarily lend themselves to that.
And there's people that need your knowledge, as well.
Exactly.
So that's the thing.
And I just want to really be able to share myself more with people that are actually close to me in my life. I love y'all. But what about you, boo? Who your top 5?
What about me? Okay, so like I said before, I'm very much a little social butterfly. So I definitely have a large circle, but I'm gonna try to narrow it down. So my mother and I share a living space. So of course she's in my top 5. I would say, of course, you and Aziza, and then my sister. I speak to her every day. Who else? Who is the top 5? Oh, one of my best friends, closest friends, Vanessa. She actually lives in California. Oh, okay. Yeah, I would say we talk every day. I love Vanessa so much because Vanessa was dealing with a autoimmune disease when I first started to meet her, but she was just such a beam of positive light. You would never know. Like, she was starting businesses. She was so and she's just completely gorgeous and has long curly hair down to her butt. And everybody knows my alter ego is a woman with long curly hair down to her butt. So I was just very attracted to her, and I love her so much, and she was so sweet. And so she's like my Latina twin. So I love Vanessa. And okay, so that's, I would say, 4. And who else? Who is my 5th? And I don't know everybody else, because
everybody else. I was about to say, you got Cleo.
Exactly, Cleo.
Exactly.
Okay, Cleo and Alexis have to join in because they're gonna be mad.
Because they've been around.
So then a Cleo and Alexis. Those are my 2 other best friends that have been around since forever, middle school too. So I love them girls the most. So yeah, so that's will be my top 5. But as well, I would say I have a lot of floaters. You know what I'm saying? Like, depending on when whatever seasons I'm in, I'll have somebody that comes in and stays with me. But I find that
forgot somebody. I'm sorry.
Who did say? Give them their
Ananda.
Yes, I was going to say Ananda. I was going to say she is
absolutely.
Ananda she's like your big sister. Yeah,
she is definitely one of my mentor type vibes, big sister vibes. Absolutely.
Exactly.
My traveling buddy, because we used to go on some trips and go on some vacations. Oh my God.
Period.
And music festivals. Oh my gosh.
I love that. She seems like a good vibe at a music festival. She's so great.
But yeah, sorry, go ahead.
And then I was going to continue to say, it's funny because now I've been forming a lot of relationships with my mom's friends. They just see me as a little her. So they've been calling me more, and I've been having a lot of mentorships with my mom's friends. One of my mom's friends is like my lawyer, helping me with all my little entertainment stuff that I've been doing. And then another one of my mom. Yeah, just like I love my mom's friends. So I've really been making a lot of connections with my aunties and stuff like that. So that's been good. Yeah. And then I wanted to mention just the like the balance of the high and the low, because I do find that I am a mentor to a lot of my younger cousins. So I've had a lot of cousins come stay with me for a little while here and need my help in this aspect. And I really do love that. I see that I feed off of that too, of just giving the advice. I love being the one who's like, you need to do this. And so it's like a motherly thing. And I have a lot of nephews. So, you know, I definitely have the seed of the mother, I feel like, in my heart. So I'm just like, I love to be able to help and stuff. So
the seed of the mother.
Yeah, so I would say that those are my 5, and that's good. So, the next thing I feel like, you have all these great, lovely people in our lives, and these are our friends. So how do we set up the yeses and the nos, like we talked about earlier, these boundaries? Like what, how do we create these healthy boundaries in friendships?
So I definitely think that us as people have to work on just how we communicate things in a comfortable and a still stern, but a gently stern or firm, maybe not stern, just being firm in what you are saying. You might have to repeat it to set that boundary. I was literally just watching a video on this from a holistic psychologist, and she literally is breaking down different ways on how you can communicate with people who don't know how to
communicate.
No. Respect boundaries. So like sometimes mothers, when you move out, they might just, we love y'all moms, but sometimes y'all just want to come over whenever you want to.
Or living with your mother in adulthood, setting up those boundaries.
Yeah, I know, but seriously, and this all comes into the same space. Obviously, you're going to have to navigate it differently depending on where you are, but definitely just speaking with love, understanding that, or making sure that they understand that this is coming from a place of love for you and for them and for you all's relationship. And that you want to be able to honor their relation or your relationship with each other in a way that you feel respected, and vice versa.
Right.
And in order for that to happen, you need X, Y, and Z to happen.
Absolutely.
And I think that oftentimes, like we were talking about moms, they don't know how to hear that.
Right, because they were with you when they had no boundaries. You were theirs.
There were no boundaries.
You were their possession.
We were inside of
exactly.
them.
So it's
literally,
you literally have to now set it up. But I will say that one way that I found helps in setting up boundaries is respecting your own boundaries, right? So I know that we both have the same boundary of like, we don't allow our friends to call us bitchs, and we really are not a big fan of the N-word. So oftentimes in this premise of society right now, where in female relationships especially, it's so commonly used as a term of endearment. So, having to take that step back and be like, hey sis, I love you so much, but please don't call me a bitch. Right. I really don't like that. And so sometimes, it's uncomfortable for that moment, right? It's like, but
very cringy.
It's very cringy. But I think that if you're not calling them that word, and they can go back in their mind and like take note, like, yeah, she never did call me that. So maybe she's never laughed when I said it, so I think that that's a good example of like, you have to, set your own boundaries. If you say you don't want to, do X, Y, and Z with people, make sure you're keeping it for yourself.
You have to honor that for sure, because if they see that you are skipping over your own boundaries, then they're definitely not going to honor that.
Definitely
not.
Yep.
Definitely got to treat yourself the way you want to be treated.
Comes down to that. Treat yourself the way you want to be treated. Absolutely. And treat others the way you want to be treated.
It, right?
Yes.
Because we be thinking that that we say things through body language or through
like
really
a cringe,
foggy vocabulary that's really vague. And a lot of times people are not hearing what you're actually saying to begin with. They're hearing, they're already always listening for you, which is just how they perceive you, period. And so if you're saying something that's different, they're not going to hear that if it's not the most clear 1, 2, 3 way of saying it. Absolutely. If you're dancing all around trying to get to one,
so that's that fear and that you know, and having that self-love, that self-esteem to be like, no, this is what I mean.
Yeah, be direct,
know?
Be firm, and you might have to repeat it.
You might.
So I don't like repeating myself, but
or work up to it. I know sometimes with me, like I get nervous about a surprise, because when I say anxiety, I get excited about not offending people. Right, so it's like, okay, how can I say this? So sometimes, saying it to yourself a few times if you need to, and then saying it out loud, practicing,
or so even texting it.
Okay, so, I don't know. So I try to stay away from texting.
It does go two ways.
Things, yeah.
People cannot read your tone through a text message. So that could go a good way, or that could go the worst way possible.
Right.
So if you're being very clear, for sure, definitely in person is the most clear form of communication.
But I guess if you are,
but if you have this anxiety around any verbal communication, then you may need to send a voice message.
Yeah, that's good way.
An option.
That's technology. Use your resources, basically. There's not one way to communicate.
Right. There are multiple ways that we can communicate nowadays for there to be, so there's no excuse really and truly for you not to get your point across in the most clear way with boundaries.
Right. So I guess you have to know your boundaries too. So that's something you have to do with yourself, because some people don't even know, like you can know something makes you feel uncomfortable, but you don't know that that's your boundary. I think a lot of times,
and figuring out why it makes you feel uncomfortable, because I think getting down to that why and when the why became the why will help you realize if that requires a boundary or if that's just I need to work on that area because I'm being sensitive. Yeah. I'm being overly sensitive. So that's to me the easiest way. It's not really easy though, of course, because as humans we have not been conditioned to actually have these healthy conversations with each other. So it's definitely going to take some practice. It's definitely going to take some awkward moments. Maybe practice conversations with some friends who you're not actually having issues with.
New things come up. 50 years ago, women weren't calling each other BITCHs.
Exactly.
100 years ago, people weren't asking you to have sex out of marriage. So, it's like as time progresses and as humans, progress, we have to see what we want to do differently and what things are changing.
Exactly.
So
absolutely, absolutely. Be flexible with your boundaries.
Exactly.
Basically, is what we're saying, because
I love that. I love that. So
Let's see. Oh, friendships versus relationships. Do they mix?
Oh, right. I
think, we touched a little bit about this on one of our lives that we went on. But that is definitely a touchy topic for some people, because I know there are some women out there that believe that their friends do not need to be close to their man, and vice versa. Their man does not need to be close to their female friends.
Right.
And it even got to the point of a conversation where a young woman was talking about how she would never let any of her female friends stay at her house because she's a married woman.
Right.
And Lord knows what would happen. And really and truly, you just don't want to set yourself up for failure. Right. You don't want to put meat in front of a sleeping bear, if you will, and not expect it to possibly
eat. No. Truthfully speaking.
Yeah. What's your point?
What's my point?
Yeah, what's your thought?
I think it goes back to like what we were saying about boundaries. There's boundaries for everything in general. But also, you don't want your friends to be that meat, and you don't want your partner to be the bear. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like... Or vice versa. I feel like that's the first premise, is just respecting your friends and trusting your friends and respecting your partner and having those respectful relationships. And then you'll know where you can set people up, and because honestly... speaking that if you have a friend that you're just like, oh my God, I don't want her around my man at all, but that's my friend. I don't know if that should be your friend. I don't know if that's exactly. Maybe you're more of acquaintances. Is that somebody that you don't really trust? Is it an insecurity in yourself? So again, going back to, why are we setting up these boundaries?
Right.
And then your friends having to respect those boundaries, right? Exactly. So you tell your homegirl, hey, I'm with my man. We're trying to work on us. After 11:30, I'm unavailable for X amount of time.
Exactly.
Now, if she's calling you at midnight, then she's not respecting your boundary. But a real friend's gonna say, okay, I respect that boundary, and then you as her friend, but I'm gonna make time for you when I can make time for you. So I think that it's just understanding both sides, and sometimes you might have a friend that needs to come over and spend the night, but again, you can say that, okay, I'm gonna give you you got 3 days, or hey, I do live here with my part. Communication exactly. with everything. This is why I feel this way, this is why I'm not, and a lot of people. And it's okay to have insecurities, right? Like, if you've had a friend that maybe has slept with your man or has gone about with your man, and then now you want your new friends to kind of move differently, as your friends, they should respect that too. You know Absolutely. What I'm saying? So I don't feel like it's not a wrong or a right for me. I think it's just knowing yourself and respectfully communicating your boundaries with your loved ones and them respecting that back.
Yeah. I think the returned respect of that request is what gives you the confirmation of whether or not that is an actual friend.
Exactly.
If there's some pushback that goes beyond 2 or 3 lines of communication, then there's probably a lot more
something undertone.
A lot more that needs to be worked on, and that's probably not a situation that you really want to enter in, allowing them to spend the night of any kind of way or anything like that, or get too close in general. And in the other instance of you just getting into a new relationship and you having friends that are used to having 100% access to you.
And I was about to say, so you have to change the dynamics sometimes.
You have to, for sure. You don't want to neglect those friendships by getting in this new relationship and giving him all your attention. And at the same time, you do want to communicate that, hey, I am wanting to nurture and foster this new relationship that I'm in, and this is something that I really am trying to, put my energy into. So y'all understand, you're not going to get 100% of me anymore. You're probably going to get maybe 50 or 25% even. I don't know. But when I am with you, I'm going to give you 100% of myself then.
Right.
So making sure that you do communicate that you are still able to make time for those friends.
And as the friend, you have to be able to say, okay, love and respect her. And because you don't possess anybody, right? Exactly. So no one is your possession. Your friends are your honor, so you should be able to respect that. Because, shoot, we used to be having sleepovers naked all the time. We don't do that no more because now my friends is booed up. So it's it's okay, though, because we're all transitioning, into different spaces. And we still have time. We spend time, as a couple. And I love, to be with you guys, around you guys' loved ones, too, because they are good men out there. You know what I'm saying? So it's nice. So just, again, back to just, like, being able to love every moment, don't miss any moment, because everything is transitional. Nothing is forever. So you should just appreciate your friends for the moments that you have them, right? Because, because they won't be there one day. And I know that's really
but it's real.
Sobering, but it's true. Everything it's not forever. We have no one forever. Even if your partner, you guys never break up and someone's going to die first, right? So it's, you just gotta love the people who love you, right?
Yes, love the ones you with.
Love the ones you with.
I love you, girl. I love you too, girl. Oh, sorry.
Okay, well, I think that was a beautiful conversation.
I think so too, friend. I think I definitely feel like we have elevated.
Yes. No, for sure.
This here girl talk. We love our friends ultimately. I know we've gone through changes and breakups with friends, and they can be messy. They can...
And make up with friends. Keep communicating with them girls, right?
Communicate. And if you can make up with them and you do feel like there is more of a benefit to this relationship that y'all had than there is to whatever breakdown y'all had, then try to...
Right.
Patch that up if it's worth it. And if it's a mutual feeling. Because if you're the only one trying, Lord of mercy, let it go.
Right.
Because it's ridiculous. And I've been in that situation before.
And I have as well. Whew. Yeah.
It's ridiculous. But anywho.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, this is This has been another episode.
This has been another episode of Lotus Tea Talk, and we hope that you enjoyed sipping this tea with us. Before we let you go, we want to leave you with a petal of inspiration. So, the most beautiful discovery true friends can make is that they can grow separately without growing apart. I love that.
Amen.
By Elizabeth Foyley.
Yeah, whatever.
How you pronounce that? Yes.
Foyley.
Foyley.
Some lady.
I be pronouncing.
We love her.
Crazy.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
But yes, so yeah, I'll read it one more time. The most beautiful discovery true friends can make is that they can grow separately without growing apart. Yes.
Absolutely. Yay. Thank you, love.
Cheers. We'll see you next time. Come on and talk with me.